We're in the middle of this massive technological revolution. But the real fight isn't just about software or code. Nope. It's a battle for the physical heart of this entire new era, a war fought with silicon and copper. This is the great AI chip war. Think about it. Every single leap we're seeing in AI, whether it's ChatGPT writing an essay or a generator creating some mind-blowing image, it all runs on a physical engine. And that engine, it's the computer chip. It all comes down to silicon. So that brings us to the big question. For years, the Silicon Kingdom has had one undisputed ruler. But now, the throne is being challenged from all sides. It's become this high-stakes game of king of the hill, and there are literally trillions of dollars on the line. To really get what's happening in this war, you have to start with the king. And for the last decade, that king has been Nvidia. They've been the undisputed champion, the company everyone turns to for the hardware that makes modern AI possible. So how did they build this massive empire? Well, it was a masterful, decade-long game of chess. Back in the early 2010s, researchers figured out that their graphics chips, their GPUs, were actually perfect for AI. By the middle of the decade, they were the standard. But the real genius move? Building a software ecosystem called CUDA. It was like digging a deep protective moat around their castle that locked developers in. So when the generative AI boom hit a few years ago, their sales just went through the roof. And today, they don't just sell you a chip, they sell you the whole thing, a ready-to-run AI factory. If you want to grasp just how dominant they are, just look at this number, $147.8 billion. That's how much they sold in AI hardware in just 9 months. And what's even crazier, that's up 62% from the year before. The demand is just completely off the charts. But you know how the story goes. No king rules forever without a fight. And the sheer size of this market, all that money, has drawn in a whole league of incredibly powerful challengers. And they are all marching right into Nvidia's territory. But here's the crazy twist. The most dangerous threats to Nvidia's throne? They're not the old rivals you'd expect. No, they're coming from inside the king's own court, from the very companies that used to be their biggest and best customers. Just look at the cloud giants. On one side, you got Google. They've been quietly designing their own chips, called TPUs, for over a decade. And now they're renting that power out to everyone on Google Cloud, competing head-to-head with Nvidia. Then you've got Amazon. Their Trainium chip is already a multi-billion-dollar business powering huge AI models for companies like Anthropic. And their shared battle cry? Hey, our chips give you more bang for your buck. And it's not just the cloud giants. Oh no, the traditional semiconductor companies, the old guard of Silicon Valley, they are rearming for this new war. AMD, which has been Nvidia's rival forever, is coming in hot with its Instinct chips. Intel is desperately trying to play catch-up with its Gaudi line. And then there's Broadcom. And they are playing a very, very different and very powerful game. See, Broadcom's strategy is fascinating. They're not trying to be the king. They want to be the kingmaker. What they do is partner up with giants like Google and OpenAI to co-design custom chips. Then they build these specialized silicon weapons for them. So in effect, they are directly arming Nvidia's biggest rivals, giving them the tools they need to break free from Nvidia's world. But here's something really important. Every single army in this war, it doesn't matter whose chip they're using, they all rely on the same critical resource, fuel. And in the chip war, that fuel is memory. Specifically, something called high bandwidth memory, or HBM. Just think of it like a super fast fuel line that's made by stacking memory chips on top of each other, just to feed data to these power-hungry processors. Because without it, the best AI chip in the world is just a really expensive paperweight. This chart from Micron, one of the big memory makers, shows you everything you need to know. Just look at that massive jump. That is a 69% surge in their data center business in just 1 year, and it's driven almost entirely by this insatiable demand for HBM. It just goes to show you, in this war, the arms dealers, the ones supplying the fuel, are making a fortune no matter who wins the battle. So you've got the cloud giants, you've got the old guard. But the rebellion, well, it didn't stop there. In the most dramatic move of all, Nvidia's biggest customers, the ones buying billions of dollars worth of chips, decided to stop just buying the weapons and start forging their very own. And if you want to understand the stakes, just think about this. When OpenAI decided to partner with Broadcom to make its own silicon, a Reuters analysis estimated that this single deal could cost Nvidia up to $350 billion in future sales. Let that sink in. That's the potential loss from just one customer deciding to go their own way. And believe me, OpenAI is not alone. This has turned into a full-blown customer rebellion. You've got Meta designing its own MTIA chips, Microsoft is working on its own secret Athena chip, and like we said, Google has been doing this for years. So the key thing to realize is that pretty much all of Nvidia's biggest customers are now also its competitors. Okay, so we've met the king and we've met all the challengers. So where does this all leave us? What does the future of this fight actually look like? Well, the king is still on the throne for now, but the kingdom itself is changing big time. So with all this competition, you have to remember, Nvidia still has a huge advantage: raw, unmatched power. Their latest chip, the Blackwell GPU, is the undisputed performance king. An analysis by Morgan Stanley found Amazon's chip delivers almost half the performance for every watt of electricity used. And what that means in simple terms is you need more chips and a much bigger electricity bill to get the same job done. This efficiency gap is why Nvidia is still the #1 choice for anyone doing cutting-edge AI. And that brings us to the real takeaway. This right here is the new map of the AI hardware world. Nvidia still has the biggest piece of the pie, for sure, but it is no longer a monopoly. You now have these other major powers: the cloud giants, the traditional chip makers, and this growing slice of custom-made silicon. The era of a single ruler is over. We're in a multipolar world now. This new battlefield isn't about one king anymore. It's about different players using their own unique strengths. Nvidia's game is absolute, top-tier performance and that software moat. Amazon and Google, they compete on how well their chips work in their cloud and on being cheaper. AMD is just attacking on price. And these custom chips are all about being perfectly optimized for one specific job. It's a way more complex, more diverse, and honestly, a much more interesting market. So in the end, maybe we've been asking the wrong question this whole time. Maybe it's not about who's going to win the chip war. Because all this intense competition, this relentless race to build faster, cheaper, more efficient silicon, it guarantees that there is one clear victor here: the absolutely explosive, incredible pace of AI innovation itself. And that's something that benefits every single one of us.